matter which day of the week it was. And I had to admit, that mostly made all of it better.
OK, folks, the bell's going to go in a minute, so finish the sentence you're writing and put your pens down.
Mr. Rowland shuffled papers around on his desk while he waited to get everyone's attention. A second later, the bell for next lesson went. Mr. Rowland called over the noise of chairs scraping on the floor.
Chairs behind your desks and don't forget your homework. Oh, and there's a letter for each of you to take home for your parents. Please pick up an envelope on your way out of the classroom.
What's this about then? Mandy mumbled as we collected our letters. The envelopes were sealed so we couldn't see what was in them. On the front they just said, "To the parents of Brightport High Year 8 children." On the back each was labelled with the words, "An exciting invitation from Five Bays Island." As I read the words, I felt a funny sensation inside me, a bit like a tail flicking around in my stomach. I had mixed feelings when it came to islands. On the one hand, an island by definition is surrounded by sea, which is totally brilliant, obviously, as it generally means lots of opportunities for the mermaid part of me to go out exploring in the ocean. On the other hand, I'd had some of the worst experiences of my life on an island, including nearly being squeezed to death by a sea monster, which isn't as much fun. Five Bays Island, Mandy read aloud. Sounds cool. And as I pocketed my letter, I had to agree. On balance, Five Bays Island sounded very cool. I forgot about the letter for the rest of the day. It was only once I got home and was unpacking my bag that I remembered it. "Oh, Mum, Dad, this is for you," I said, passing it over to Mum. Mum took the letter from me and reached for her glasses as Dad popped his head up from below deck. We live on a boat moored in Brightport Harbour. It's a beautiful old ship that's been specially adapted so merpeople and humans can both live in it.
"Hey, little un, how was school?"
Dad asked, flicking wet hair off his face and smiling up at me. I took my shoes and socks off and sat on the edge of the gap in the floor, dangling my feet in the water, just my toes, so my legs wouldn't turn into a tail. Part of the new deal was that I had to do my homework before going in the water. I shrugged. Okay. I nodded over to the table where Mum had opened the envelope and was now sitting reading the letter. We were given those. Dad looked over.
"What is it?"
"Emily's class has been invited to visit an island for a geography field trip at the end of this month," Mum replied. I was busy emptying my bag of all the rubbish I'd accumulated through the day. My heart thumped down on the table, along with my Browning apple core. So it was just a geography field trip, the dullest thing in the world. They'll be studying rare birds and exotic plants and unusual geological formations, Mum went on. Then she looked across at us and added, "It's for a whole week." I dropped my homework diary on the table with a thud. A whole week of studying birds, plants and rocks? Really? "Oh, and there are shipwrecks and some interesting sea life too," Mum went on. "They'll organise glass-bottomed boat trips." Shipwrecks and sea life? That sounded much better. But they could forget the glass-bottomed boat trips. If shipwrecks and sea life were on the cards, I wanted to go underwater and see them up close.
"I think she should go,"
Dad said. "Me too," Mum added. "Yeah, I think so too," I agreed. If my record with islands was anything to go by, who knew? Perhaps I'd find myself caught up in an adventure while I was there. That evening, Aaron and I swam out to Rainbow Rocks to meet up with Shona and Seth. Seth is Shona's boyfriend. Well, she hasn't officially called him her boyfriend yet, but I know she'd like to. They met in the summer when he helped us to save Neptune from his evil twin. As a thank you, Neptune made him one of his advisors. He's only 14, so he's the youngest merboy ever to hold such a high position. But it means he doesn't get to hang out with us all that often, as he's pretty much at Neptune's beck and call. Luckily, he had the evening off and could join us. Swimming over to meet them with Aaron, I forgot all about school and geography field trips. When I was in the water like this, everything else floated away. Nothing that happened at Brightport High could ever come close to the feeling of zooming along, racing a shoal of tiny bright blue fish, or darting in and out of coral and rocks, or gliding along on a warm current holding Aaron's hand. When we arrived at Rainbow Rocks,